Hi and welcome to a new video. So I wanted to make a video about the Mars retrograde. And as I guess you should during the Mars retrograde, I've been spending some time in reflection and I received quite a lot of downloads and channeled information that kind of helped me to see this twin flame journey and this unification process from a much higher perspective. So I actually wanted to share some of that with you today. And yeah, I can hear my computer is the fan is starting to go on, but yeah, it's quite hot, so I can't really do anything to prevent it. So sorry about that, but let's get into the video. So within this video I wanted to talk about Mars retrograding in Aquarius, and then I'll do a separate one about the Capricorn energy. But Mars is associated with our masculine energy, and it is actually our ego. So Mars is really representative of our ego. And we often use the archetype of the soldier to describe it, because it is the aspect within us that protects us, that ensures our physical survival, and it's also the aspect that, takes physical action to get us what we want. And so you can say it's a masculine action and protection oriented energy. And so when Mars, our soldier, and our ego goes retrograde in Aquarius, I think we will be faced with the question, who is our God? So, what do we believe in? And that means really, where do we put our power? So do we trust in other people's truth more than our own? And if so, why is that? So traditionally, the soldier, he's not run by himself. He's not driven by his own inner truth. Then we're talking about a knight or something like that. But the soldier, he is run by another man or by a system. So a government or a religious organization, something like that. And remember, the soldier that I'm referring to, on a small scale, this is an image of our ego. And on a larger scale, this is the masculine archetype within our society. So the soldier, he's told to act a certain way, to be a certain way, and there's really a lot of restrictions around how he is allowed to behave, what is allowed to do. So traditionally, the soldier is really not free to follow his own truth. He is kind of in a state where he is repressing, denying the truth of his soul, in order to follow another man's orders. And so he's not empowered. He's not an empowered divine being, and he has not yet become the divine masculine. So for most people, this is the way that it has been, that our Mars energy, our ego, or our masculine aspect, has been or has not been connected to the divine. It has not been connected to our inner truth, but it has been turned outwards. So it has been connected to the society, the collective, and it has been filled with programs and beliefs based on rules and norms from the society and from the kind of the tribe, the collective. So with this Mars retrograde, there's really a powerful potential for a complete redefinition of what it means to be a soldier within our collective consciousness. And if you think about the soldier, it's really one of the main archetypes, like I said, that we use to describe the general population of men. So, first he was a soldier, maybe now he or the man is more like a worker. But in essence, it's really the same. It's about taking orders from the outside, looking to other people for the validation or for the map on where to go, what is the right thing to do. And so this retrograde is a potential for a shift within the collective consciousness around what it means to be a man, but also in the way we decide what is really worth our protection. What are we willing to stand for, to align ourselves with? Which values are we willing to fight for? And very importantly, how do we choose to fight for those values? So, do we choose to compete, to try to dominate, to diminish, which is really kind of the old paradigm or the old way of dealing with conflict or perceived danger? Or do we choose to try to understand, and through that understanding to find a way of cooperation? So it's really about our ego kind of based around belief structures focused on win-lose, like bad-good, or are they more directed towards the win-win? And so with this, I also feel that there's a huge potential for a shift in the way that we look at our ego. Because a lot of the times, the ego gets a lot of negative attention and, blame even. And I think that with this retrograde, we're going to start seeing the ego from a different perspective. So to see that it's not really about the ego itself. It's not really about the masculine himself. He is not bad and the ego is not bad. It is the beliefs within the ego or connected to traditional masculine values that are outdated. And so these beliefs are not really beneficial for us anymore now that we're entering into this new stage of evolution here on Earth. So there needs to be a shift. We need to replace these beliefs within our egos, these beliefs that are connected to masculinity, with new beliefs that are more in line with a higher vibrational consciousness. So that helps us maintain higher vibrational emotions within our body. So again, it's more focused on the win-win. And here is where I find it really gets interesting, because the part within us that is most connected to our own soul, our higher truth, is the feminine energy. And if we are really in tune with those aspects of ourselves, so we've been spending a lot of time acknowledging our emotions, and especially our darker emotions, and we have also learned how to harness the wisdom of our bodies. If we've done that, we might have awoken our divine feminine aspects, which is really the conscious connection to our higher aspects, our soul, our higher self. And so traditionally, our masculine energy, our ego, he has been turned away from the feminine. So he has been taking cues on what to protect, what is important, and how to act from the outside instead. So this means that we as a collective have been systematically denying the wisdom of our feelings, our emotions, our bodies, and also our intuition. And in most cases, we've been so good at denying this, so that this kind of information, it hasn't even been able to reach our awareness. It hasn't even been able to kind of come into our egos at all. Because the ego itself has been filled with all of these belief systems that have kind of prevented us from valuing the feminine aspects of ourselves. And that's also why I think that we say that the ego is bad when we start to awaken, or why we have that feeling, why we've had that feeling. It's because the ego has been filled with all of these beliefs, all of this conditioning that is not necessarily in alignment with our soul. And so it has been a conflict, it has been more a power struggle between our masculine aspects and our feminine aspects. And this is also what we have experienced within our twin flame relationship. There has been this kind of a power struggle where we haven't been able to understand each other because of the kind of inherent dynamic of these two aspects within each individual and also within our collective consciousness. But with Mars being retro in Aquarius, this is changing. And the message is that no one but yourself can truly, deeply know what it is that your soul is calling you to do. And so I think we will become aware of how we, to a large extent, we have not been creating for ourselves. And maybe we don't even know exactly what it is that we want, what our path is, because of all of this noise from the outside, social media, news, all of that, that has created programs and conditioning within our ego, within our masculine, that makes us not respect, not trust, and ultimately not listen to our feminine aspects. So as a culture, we even tend to really fear our feminine aspects, especially, the darker ones. So we are afraid of uncomfortable emotions. We try to run away from it. We don't want to create the space to really sit with them. We try to distract ourselves with all of this kind of noise on the outside. And this is, of course, also reflected within our relationships. And also within, society at large. And so the divine feminine values of, love, compassion, nurturing, cooperation, and also, the divinity within nature, the divinity within the body, and within, Earth itself. These values have not been respected the way that they need to be kind of valued and respected for us to thrive as individuals and also as societies. So when Mars retrogrades through Aquarius, we really have the potential to become aware of all of the areas where we are giving our power away to truths that aren't our own. So I see kind of the soldier, our ego or the masculine, slowly turning towards the feminine, or the divine feminine, depending on where you are in your journey. and starting to trust and give value to the wisdom and the information that comes from those aspects of ourselves. And of course, if you are doing this within yourself, if you're starting to value your own emotions, also your dark emotions, and turning your attention towards them, this will also be reflected to you within your relationship and also your twin flame relationship. But what this really means, and this is actually quite huge, it is that when our masculine, our egos, turns towards the feminine, it actually means that our egos will be in alignment with our souls. So from this point on, our egos will more and more starting to reflect the guidance and the information that we get from our soul. So if you have awoken your divine feminine aspects, this is a shift that you will be very conscious of, and it will really help you to propel quickly forward by just systematically letting go of all of the beliefs, the conditioning that no longer serves you. The conditioning of the old paradigm based on like a win-lose. So your ego, our ego, can become completely free of the 3D programming. Of course, it's a process, it happens over time, but this is really like a shift where that kind of portal opens for a lot of us. And I think even if you're not completely sure of your intuition, you're still kind of developing your intuition. It is by honoring your feminine essence that you can connect your ego to your soul. And this is also how you will awaken your divine feminine aspects. So this means really paying attention to and honoring your emotions, and also be very kind to your body and give it what it asks for. So if your body is telling you to relax, it's very easy for an ego that has been brought up within the Western culture to say like, no, you have to work, because we're workers, that's what we are. But trust your body then. Try to push away that programming and create a space for yourself where you can rest. Because a lot of the times it is when we are resting, when we are still and quiet, that we also receive clear communication from our soul. So it's really about being very conscious of what your feelings are telling you, and also what your body is trying to tell you. And try to take that advice, try to start protecting your own feminine a little bit more. Because, our soul actually speaks to us through this, what we can call lower feminine aspects. And lower doesn't mean that it's less of a value, it just means that it's the earthly realm. And so it's through honoring these aspects, again, your body's communication and your emotions, that we really start to become consciously aware of the direct communication with our higher aspects, so our higher feminine aspects, or the divine feminine. And so yes, I think that a lot of us, me included, we are going through these cycles of purging. And this is really to bring our attention to the programming, the existing programming within our egos. So when we are feeling low, observe what your mind is telling you by default, you know, these automatic thoughts, because this is not your soul's truth. You know, when you are receiving information from your soul, you are going to be feeling high. You're going to be feeling love and compassion and trust. You know, all of these emotions that are asking you to kind of open yourself and to making you feel like you want to connect with other people. And then it's really the ego that can come in and burst that bubble if it contains beliefs that are saying that it's not safe to trust your intuition, for instance, you know, that it's not possible to receive guidance or messages in this way, or that you can't do that because you are not like the others. Some things like this, you know, is very common. And so be mindful of that. And in my experience, really the best thing to do when we're in a purge is to just observe and to know that what we are going through, these lower vibrations, these automatic thoughts that keep spinning around in our head when we're experiencing the lower vibrations, these are not our truth. That's not our truth. And that's not who you really are. It's not the vibration that you are meant to live in, and so it will pass. It's just coming up so that we can really expand our awareness. So the key is really to not, you know, disrespect these darker emotions by turning our attention outwards to avoid discomfort. So again, especially with this retrograde in Aquarius, again, you know, the social media, the news, all of that, like the wheels that keep spinning outside of us. Don't escape your inner pain using that, because this would be the equivalent of your inner masculine energy running away from your inner feminine energy and not respecting and listening to her messages of pain. So if you see this, you know, kind of behavior reflected to you in the external world, it is really also a sign for you to start honoring your own emotions more. Start, and especially your darker emotions, and start protecting yourself a bit more. You know, let yourself have the space to really go into and observe these darker emotions. And this will really expand your consciousness rapidly. And you will see how things will shift around you as well. So it's really a time when we can make huge progress with our journey towards, you know, unity within. And of course, this will also be reflected within our own relationship with ourselves. So our relationship to our bodies. You know, we can feel more like at peace with our bodies, more in love with our bodies. Also our relationship with our emotions, you know, with our higher selves. And then, of course, within our relationships to other people. You know, they will start to become more harmonious. And you doing this work within yourself is even going to benefit the collective in a very positive way, because the more people that start going through this shift, the easier it will be for the people following after. So we're creating this momentum for the collective by doing this inner work, by going through this evolutionary stage within our human history. Actually I want to finish off by talking a little bit about Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius. And Aquarius, as I'm sure many of you know, is also associated with the star in the tarot, the star card. And to me, Uranus is the archetype of the higher mind. So it's a very high vibrational energy. And connecting to that energy, you can bring down guidance that will show you your highest potential and how you can be of the most service to humanity and live your best life. So the kind of the a little bit scary thing about Uranus is that a lot of the times, you know, this will require needing to make a change, you know. What you're being called to do might be forcing you to break with a current rule or a current norm within society. You know, you have to maybe step outside the box to take a risk. You have to be different, because Uranus is about change, and it's about the change that the collective need is a higher vibrational change. And that is why also Uranus is associated with this electrical, impulsive energy, because it is that genius insight idea that really just changes your perspective forever. You become a completely different person after having this connection with Uranus, and it can be very, very powerful. Because Uranus is also seen as the hex breaker. So really breaking down conditioning, dissolving systems that are no longer beneficial for, you know, the individual, for you as an individual, and also for the society at large. So it's really about you as an individual connecting to and finding your own power so that you can take a leap of faith, take action that will actually help change things for the better within the collective, within the society. So these are really those times when we are starting to change. You know, we are starting to really connect to our essence, our highest essence, and really starting to see kind of the responsibility we have, and how we really need to connect to our own power in order to follow through on the potential that we have within this lifetime. But I think that to be able to do that, you know, to be able to reach into this higher vibration and to live from this higher vibration, we really have to start with honoring and respecting, accepting our current emotions, and not run away from them. And again, you know, the key to this is, of course, self-love. You know, we have to accept ourselves. It's okay. You know, it's okay to be in pain. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just tells you that you are in a transition phase right now. And that's why we need extra care and extra kind of nurturing and good energy around us. So this was my take on the Mars retrograde in Aquarius. I will be making another video talking more about Mars retrograding in Capricorn. And yeah, I hope that you're doing really well and that you're taking care of yourself. So, bye.